Yeah,
All right, we're recording now, so I hope you're good.
I am. I think I figured this out. How do I sound? Do I still sound like weird?
No, you sound good.
Okay.
My hair looks very like purple. Anyways, moving on.
Moving on.
Moving on. I never know how to start this, Katie. I'm so bad at this because you usually do it on the other one.
Literally all I ever say is hello and welcome to another episode
I
of
know,
The
but I feel
Ultimate Insiders. This podcast is called The Ultimate Insiders. Not to be confused with our other podcast, Thought Shared, Souls Bared. I feel like I say that word. I'm like, bared. So
it
bared.
sounds like you're like trying to do some kind of an accent, but I can't figure out what
I saw.
accent.
I feel like I'm trying to be like someone on NPR, like, welcome. Like,
Yeah,
like who is it? Ira Glass. Who did it?
something like that.
But the
Yeah.
thing is, I don't listen to NPR, and I just think
I
about that
did
episode of
growing up because my dad loves NPR.
wow. That's so weird considering like you don't have necessarily liberal parents.
Yeah, but my dad is like a whore for NPR. That man loves it.
Oh, my parents. No, my parents are too conservative for that.
Yeah, my mom hates it, but my dad loves it. But my mom hates it just because she doesn't like how the people on NPR sound, which valid because mood.
well, well, there was an episode of Parks and Rec
Yeah,
where Leslie goes on NPR, and
there's
it's
a
Dan
couple episodes.
Castellaneta. But I think she only goes on the NPR one once because she goes on Crazy Ira and the Douche a couple
Well,
times.
The NPR one was on there a couple times because, but I don't think it was
Was
Leslie
it?
both times.
Okay, and it's Dan Castellaneta that's doing it, and it's like, welcome
Yeah,
to Thoughts for Your
for your
Thoughts.
thoughts.
And then you just sit there going, that guy voices Homer Simpson. Like, what?
Yeah, I forget
And
about that.
and but my brother recently took a jazz class, and there was the whole joke on that like scene where it's jazz plus jazz equals jazz.
Jazz.
Because my brother played some like jazz that sounded insane, and it's just and it reminded me of like that part because jazz plus
Yes.
jazz equals jazz is just two different jazz songs layered on
Jazz
top
is
of each other.
so I love jazz, but like whenever hardcore jazz freaks are like
You like
talking about it
jazz?
or like playing it or something, I'm just like, why is this so much? Why is
Barry
it so
Barry the
much?
Bee from Bee Movie
Barry B. Benson. What a guy.
or whatever Ryan Gosling's name is on La
Sebastian.
La
Okay.
Land. Oh,
I love Sebastian in La La Land. Are you kidding? He's so perfect.
it's jazz.
It's jazz. He's like, what do you mean you don't like jazz? It's like my favorite part of the movie.
He's like aggressive about it, and I'm like,
But
dang,
like, I
makes you feel
picture
like jazz is very like male, like very masculine, very like testosterone driven. I'm like,
it
I don't want to be
is.
around that.
It honestly is. It's crazy.
That makes
But
me
like,
not want to be around it.
I love him in La La Land just because I hate Emma Stone's character in La La Land so much, and he is so different. I'm just like, I love Sebastian.
Said I like Mia.
Mia is a manipulative little toxic bitch, and I don't like her.
How?
What do you mean, how?
How?
She says multiple times, she's like, oh, I'm sorry that I can't get a job, but that means that you can't have a job either just because you don't love this one that you're doing. And he's like, who's to say I don't love it? Because you can love a job that you didn't think you were going to like originally. Hello? Like, whenever he joins that band, at first he was like wary of it, but then he was like, you know what? I'm vibing with these guys. I'm having fun. We're making music. I'm doing the thing. And then she like starts yelling at him about it. And he's like, I never said I didn't love it. Like he was like, where are you getting this information from? Because it didn't come from my mouth. And then she's like screaming at him. And then
Well, they have the argument about that because okay, here's where I kind of get it. Is like I'm very much like a you must follow your dreams. You can't get sidetracked. I say
which
as I
I am
am constantly
too.
sidetracked. He made it seem like he didn't this wasn't his goal. So he said, "Okay, you know what? I'm going to sign on for however many years and then after that he made it seem like after that it was done, but he needed to continue working, and it was what was available to him. I understand both sides so well of it,
But
because
like
it's like
whatever. But at the
she
point
wouldn't
when
let
he was like,
herself get sidetracked from her goals. So
well,
to her,
yeah,
he's getting sidetracked from his,
well, yeah, but
because
at
he
the
wants
same
to open.
time, at the same time, at the point whenever he was like, I actually am really enjoying this, she should have stopped what she was saying and moved forward from it and been like, okay, then I love this for you. But she didn't. She just kept being a bitch about it. And I didn't like that.
She should have been like, "Are you sure you like it? Don't lie to yourself." Because I have
That's what
constant
she said,
moments of
though,
myself.
essentially. And he was like, yeah, I am enjoying myself. I am having fun. Because you can change your mind. You can decide that you enjoy doing something else also on top of what like your ultimate goal is.
That's true.
I'm just saying, like
That's true.
I'm such a firm like Sebastian is the best character in La La Land person because I just
Both
adore
good
him.
people, and I think that they both. Okay, I think they're both good people. I think they both have their flaws. I think they both
Yeah.
really love each other, and they're both very supportive of each other.
But I'm glad they didn't
But
end up together.
yeah, that ending was like, I get
The
it.
best ending ever. I love the
Yeah.
ending of that movie so freaking much. All my friends
Also,
hated it. But I was like, this is the best ending for this movie. Are you joking? It's so good.
it's also very much like a love letter to LA,
Yeah.
which I adore.
That
Because there's
movie,
so many times where and you know, growing up here and living in on basically living on these freeways,
yeah,
the amount of times I've just blasted Another Day of Sun,
so good.
just like driving down the freeways.
I've always
I
said
remember
that
I
like
once blasted
if
it
I
driving down to La
finally
Jolla.
if I end up like ever actually traveling to like LA, that's like the song I'm gonna play as I'm like
Jill, what do you mean if? You have to come visit at some
oh my
point.
god. Well, hopefully in the next like year and a half we'll both be living together. So it's
Or at least living in the same city.
yeah, like down the hall
Yeah.
from each other.
That'd be fun.
Where
Around
that
the block.
TikTok where it was like that girl was like, "Oh, me and my best friend are roommates," and they're like, "Okay, why is this better?" Or not roommates. Me and my best friend are neighbors, and they're like, "Why is this better than like me and my best friend are roommates?"
That's the thing, is like, I've always lived in a house with another person. I so desperately want to live on my own.
Oh no,
Like
I definitely
on
want to
my
live
own.
alone. Yeah, I want
I
to
want
live
to live
alone.
alone.
Yeah.
I need
I
my
just want like
space.
a teeny tiny little stupid studio apartment in like the Upper West Side.
hmm
That's my goal because it's not super expensive, honestly. The Upper West Side could be more expensive, so that's my
Said it
goal.
before, like, because I was in the running for a position at a nonprofit in New York,
Yeah,
and I was talking to my parents about it because I had 2 interviews, so I was getting like pretty far. I don't know if I'm even still in the running at this point. I
yeah.
have essentially, in my mind, said it's probably not going to happen. Um, but I was talking to my parents about it, and I was like, New York City is expensive, but it's not as expensive as people make it seem.
No, like literally everyone on TikTok, like I'm on New York real estate TikTok. And
Oh,
so
so am I.
everyone's always like, right? And everyone in
Do
the
you follow
comments
the
is always
NYC
like,
agent?
yes, I do. And everyone in the comments is always like, oh my God, only this much for like this many roommates. And it's like, okay, but it's a big ass apartment in like a prime location, walking distance to like all these bars, all this like stuff. Why are you complaining? How about you relax a little bit?
Budgeted in my head. I have had it budgeted in my head for years now, and I'm
I
like,
have
I
a
just need the
Google
job to
Doc of
move me
like
there.
I have a Google Doc of like my budgeting for like how much money I need to move there to live 6 months without a
Plus,
job.
it's really cheap right now because everyone's moving out of the city because
Exactly. So for the
everything
next
is
year and a half,
closed.
New York real estate is gonna be so cheap. Like
hmm
it's like the dream. Not
Absolutely.
not the circumstances, but
No, but
the
it's
effects of the cause are like
yeah,
the dream. Anyways,
yeah.
we should
Get into Gossip
start
Girl
this.
season 1, episode 2.
Yes. Okay. We didn't even introduce ourselves. We just started talking. I was
That's
gonna
fine.
use your intro that you did, but
We can use it. It's fine.
I want to use it. I thought that was so funny.
Okay, we'll use
Okay.
it. Leave it all in. Who cares?
All
Our
right.
conversation about our conversation about
Our heated debate about
La
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 Land.
Land.
It's fine. This
Anyone
podcast is
who's
what we
ever
want it
met
to
me
be.
has gotten into like a heated argument over La La Land with me because I have such controversial opinions about it. Because I love it so deeply. Anyways.
Anyway, we're talking Gossip Girl. We're
Welcome
talking
to the
episode.
Ultimate Insiders, episode 2.
Yes, we're talking Gossip Girl, episode 2 of season 1. The title is The Wild Brunch. The original air date was September 25th, 2007 in Canada, but September 26th, 2007 on the CW in America. I don't know why that's the way it is, but that's the way it was.
I feel like that happens a lot, though.
I don't know.
From what I've heard. Anyways, I'm Jill.
I'm Katie.
I was about to say you're going to say your name.
Well, there's a delay right now.
Is there?
Now there's not.
Oh, I thought it's my way.
There was, though. Because I saw your mouth moving, and I was like, are you not saying anything? And then it came.
Oh. Could you imagine me just like mouthing? Okay. So
what are you drinking, Jill?
I'm drinking it's ginger limeade with vodka.
Well, I'm drinking like a peach secco Bellini thing from Trader Joe's, I think. I think it's from Trader Joe's.
I love Trader Joe's.
Iconic.
I love a Trader Joe's beverage.
A beveragino.
Me. Okay. So the first thing I want to say about this episode, because it bothers me to no end, and I'm gonna bring this up every episode because I know there's gonna be a reference to it.
Let's explain what this episode is.
Okay,
so it takes place immediately after the first episode. It's the next day, and there's a brunch that's taking place, and everyone gets
benefiting Bart Bass's foundation for something. I don't remember.
Do we know what the foundation is? And what it supports? The Bart Bass
Foundation. It's I don't know what his foundation. I don't know if they ever actually say what his foundation supports because I can't remember. But I just know that he's like a real estate guy. Like he's like a Trump, but hotter and more exciting of a human being because he's not.
But equally as evil.
But like equally as evil, just in different ways.
Yeah.
I'm always like saying that because everyone's like, "You like Bart Bass? He's such a dick," and I'm like, "But not as bad in the same ways."
You're like still evil, but in a different way.
And he's hot, so like it helps a little bit.
Not trying to tear an entire world apart, just trying to tear like families apart.
Yeah, so like it could be a
social circle.
And you know what?
A social circle.
I would leave Rufus for Bart Bass, but that's just me.
All right.
I'm just saying. Anyway, so it takes place. It's a brunch for Bart Bass's foundation, and there's like Dan is trying to figure out how to talk to Serena again because he waved at her at the end of their date instead of being a normal human being and like walking her to her door or something. And then Jenny's trying to get in with Blair. Chuck is feeling the effects of Dan punching him the night before, and
black eye and all.
Yes, and Nate is trying to have a conversation with Serena, even though he told Blair that he wouldn't talk to her anymore. And Blair's just trying to keep Nate away from Serena. That's like the whole premise of the episode, essentially.
Yep, and he's trying to keep her away from, or she's trying to keep him away from Serena because she found out the night before. Yeah, so Blair found out the night before that Nate and Serena slept together. And
because Nate is a good person and was honest.
But he still cheated on her.
But at least he was honest about it because he felt guilty.
A year later.
But let's not make Nate out to be a bad person because he's a good person, Katie. He was a teenager. Chase Crawford wasn't, but Nate Archibald was.
Okay, so my first note is when we see Dan on his way to the palace to talk to Serena, he has this face where I can't tell if he is like squinting because it's so bright out, or if it's just like that's just his walking face, like his "do not fuck with me" face that everyone has to put on while walking around New York City,
yeah.
Or if it's just like really, really hot, which could be because the episode came out end of September. So they probably filmed it in like July or August.
Right.
And I was like, it looks hot.
My first note says Dan is an idiot. That's my first note. That's gonna be my first note for every episode. I can feel it in my bones. It's the first thing I'm gonna say about every episode. Because I was I get baffled by this every episode I watch, but the lack of like genuine understanding of how human beings work that Dan has, considering he's like a writer and all this other stuff. Like, yeah, he's like an insider, but at the same time, he's like a writer and he writes about like the human condition and he writes about like raw human beings and like like it's so weird to me that he's so unaware of how human beings operate and how their minds work and everything, because like Jenny's like having to pull out of him like, do you not understand that you waving at Serena last night was weird? Like, she was like, do you not understand the like consequences of your actions? Like, it was like the weirdest conversation. And I always think that every time I watch this episode, I'm like, how is Dan so unaware of like everything, given the fact that he is like this big writer and everything about human beings?
I don't know.
So that's where my Dan is.
I agree. That is a weird thing. But yeah, he's
so oblivious to everything.
But he's constantly checking on Jenny, like, "Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay?" And she's like, "I'm fine. Let it go." He's like, "Are you okay?" And then she finally gets him out of her hair, being like, "Go check on Serena. Go make things better. You're annoying me. Get out of here."
Around the palace for a little bit again. Go see where that gets you. And then
oh my gosh. Like, and then she says, "Hey Rufus, can we go to the farmer's market?" And then they never go to the farmer's market.
Yeah, they did.
What did they do at the farmer's market?
They went to the farmer's market because when she went to see Blair, she's like, "Oh, those are really pretty flowers." And Blair was like, "Yeah, they're hydrangeas." And so Jenny was like, "Oh, Dad, can we go to the farmer's market?" And then they go and she buys hydrangeas because at the end of the episode, Dan comments on the flowers or whatever. And she's like, "Thanks, they're hydrangeas."
Oh, I was not paying attention. I was like doing other things. I don't know. Jenny, a little too desperate to be Blair.
Jenny's desperate in every episode of the show. Mm-hmm. That's just the tea. That's just the facts. I'm not a Jenny Humphrey fan. I don't like any of the Humphreys. But Jenny's not my least favorite Humphrey, but I don't like any of the Humphreys.
Interesting.
But
my second note on here is Serena is rifling through her room and she yells for her mom if she borrowed some designer shoe without her permission. And then she's still rifling around. Lily comes in the room, hands her the shoes, which are on top of a box in clear view.
Yeah.
Hands her these shoes. And then the next time we see Serena's legs, she's not wearing those shoes. She's wearing boots.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I went back to after she handed her the shoes.
Yeah.
And we do see like a tug, which could be because she's wearing like knee-high boots.
Yeah.
We do see like a tug. So I'm like, maybe she just decided she didn't want these emerald green shoes. They didn't go with her outfit.
Right. She was wearing like she grabbed like emerald green heels to wear denim shorts and like a weird shirt. Like the outfit
like a boho look.
Like the boots made more sense than the heels did. So like I was like, if she just changed her mind all of a sudden, I was like, I'd rather wear these knee-high suede boots. That makes a lot more sense.
I think it was just lazy writing to get Lily into the room, but she could have just been like looking for shoes, and then Lily hears a commotion of her digging through boxes.
Or even like a handbag or something, because Lily borrows her stuff all the time. So like she could have been like, hey mom, do you have my whatever handbag? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it was just lazy writing on that.
It's just like early on in shows, I always pick up on like the laziest shit. What is happening?
I'm burping and I don't want it to be in the mic.
Oh, I was like, what are you doing?
I'm like, trying not to burp on mic, trying to be respectful.
So my second note that I had was quotes. Blair was so mean to me last night, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because A, you're like avoiding her. B, you literally know that she's angry at you for some reason, even after you guys talked at the palace bar. C, you slept with her boyfriend last year, and yeah, you don't know that she knows that, but she still knows that, and like you've been lying to her for a year. D, just
You
because y'all
just
talked over,
disappeared.
right, just because y'all talked over drinks doesn't mean that you disappearing last year is like an okay thing for her. Like, I don't, like, what do you mean you don't know why? That whole thing just blows my mind. Like, every time she says something like that, I'm just like, how do you not understand? How do you not get it?
I don't know. Serena is so um airy. She's like, no, I wouldn't call her an airhead, but she's
No.
just like
Because
floaty
she is
and
smart.
flighty. Yeah, she
She's
is.
just oblivious to like other people's feelings and
She's just like, I don't know why. I thought we made everything better.
right. Like I literally also wrote Serena really thinks things are so much simpler than they are. Like every time like she literally talks, she brings up how Eric is in the institution so many times, how he's at the Ostrom Center so many times. But I'm like, but do you not understand that he literally tried to take his own life? Like I'm like, there's a reason he's at the Ostrom Center. And like, yeah, it's kind of fucked up that his mom is still keeping him there, even though he's like, I want to go home. But at the same time, not everything is as simple as just like checking him out to go get lunch. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, there, everything is so much deeper than she thinks it is, and it's just, I don't like. It really bothers me.
yeah. She expects everything to bend to her will, and
Right,
it
because
doesn't.
she's been handed everything her entire life. She constantly is just getting handed everything her entire life. So,
And that's why Dan doesn't like money,
yeah,
because he has to work for it.
yeah.
Um, and then for whatever reason,
Yeah.
um, Lily goes to Brooklyn just to talk to Rufus about what?
About Serena and Dan, I guess.
Because that's a conversation that needs to be had.
Well, I mean, I guess it's just one of those things where it's like, oh, I have a history with this person, and I never really like stopped loving him, so I might as well, like
When
now that fate has brought us back together, because they mentioned fate a couple times, and Rufus was like, no matter what, it's still fate. Like, shut up, Rufus.
he like still knows her coffee order, she's like, oh,
I
an
don't like
Americano
the
with an
thing.
extra shot.
I don't like the way that he talks to her in that scene. I wrote down a couple things. Like one of the things he says is, "Oh, he's married. That's oh, or is he married? That is your type." Should we fast forward a few episodes? Like, do we need to fast forward a little bit? Because, like, sir,
Also, we don't know what her type is because the only person we see her interact with is Bart. Like, we don't know her past
Bart
history.
is her type. I think out of all the men that she's with, Bart is the most Lily's type out of everybody. Rufus was like her "I'm rebelling" phase. Bart is who she ultimately needed to be with. I stand by that. I think Lily and Bart were great together. Bart was fucked up. What he did to her was fucked up, but I loved them as a couple. They just worked. Like they just, I don't like everything about them just worked for me.
When they do see each other, when she first steps out of the cab, they're talking about something. And he goes, oh, something about a heart-shaped tattoo between your, and then he like points down. Where's her heart-shaped tattoo?
Between her what?
That's what I want to know. Between her what? Because he kind of like points down.
I would assume it's probably on like one of her thighs or something, and he's just trying to be dramatic because he's Rufus.
But like, if it's on a thigh, what is it between?
I
really want to know this.
It's on your thigh. It's between like
your legs.
Vagina.
I don't know. And I was like, oh, I was like, between what? Her butt crack? Between her toes? Like, between what? It's like, is he trying to refer to like a tramp?
Why did you automatically
automatically? Because tramp stamps?
I mean, yeah, but that's not your ass. That's just like your lower back.
Yeah, but maybe she made it lower. I don't know. Does she have like two freckles in a weird place and the heart is between the two freckles?
That's what I would do. That's what I would do. Another quote that I wrote down that Rufus said that made me mad. I literally have, or he's married, that is your type. And I put, shut the fuck up, Rufus. And then the next quote is, a kid like Dan is exactly what Serena needs. And I put, shut the fuck up, Rufus, part 2. Like, he makes me so angry. Because, like
he would know what Serena needs. He doesn't know Serena at all.
No. Like, all he knows is what he's seen in like tabloids and stuff, I'm pretty sure, and like what Dan has told him. And what Dan has told him, Dan doesn't know Serena. He's been stalking her for 3 years, but that doesn't mean he knows her. Like, that whole thing just really bothered me. The whole show, like the entire series, Rufus thinks that he knows Serena better than anyone else. And I'm like, you don't know her. Like, you came into her life out of nowhere and you act like you're her dad. And like, it doesn't work that way. That's not how that works. You have to actually get to know her and understand like the things that she did and the reason that she did the things that she did. And you don't ever do that. You just take everything at like base level. Oh, you were sleeping around with this guy? Okay, then you're a whore. And then it's like, oh, and then, oh, you cheated on Dan that one time? Oh, cute. But she didn't actually cheat on Dan. Like, it's like the whole thing is just like he never actually understands Serena. And that bothers the hell out of me. It makes me so angry.
And during all this time, Dan just decides to wait for Serena at the palace, having no clue when she's coming back. Not a clue at
Can
all.
we talk about
And
how
then
the like security guy or like whatever at the palace is my favorite?
he was like, she once left for 6 months and never came back. She once left and didn't come back for 6 months.
And then,
like, and Nate comes down to wait for her and she's like, oh, you can wait behind this guy too. It's like, geez, dude's got some attitude. Love him, but dude's got some attitude.
Love him. He's my favorite character in the whole episode. Like, he's the best character. Another thing I was on, you said Nate came like downstairs or whatever, and I literally wrote, you said that it reminded me of one of the things I wrote, and I literally have, I love Chase Crawford in a tux so much.
Disheveled in a tux.
I love it. I just love Chase Crawford in anything, but like
my question is, why just like randomly do they move from like, why do Dan and Nate both move from waiting in the lobby to waiting outside?
Maybe they were getting tired of what's his face's attitude.
Someone said, all right, you guys have been here enough. If you're gonna wait, you gotta wait somewhere else. And then Nate just oh my god, what is it? It's when Chuck comes outside and they like he's about to start fighting with Dan and Dan goes, what, is this your hotel? And then Nate goes, actually it is. And the look Dan has, he does like a confused up down. I laughed so hard. And I was like, that is great acting on Penn Badgley's part. Like, that is so subtle and funny.
And then he looks over at the hotel and he's just like
he looks up at the hotel in the background. He's like, huh? He's like, oops.
I love it. And then
it's like, I should have known.
And then what's the other thing? I wrote down something else about like Chuck and Dan. Oh, I put Chuck may have instigated with Dan, but Dan makes things so much worse for no reason. Like, he literally says, don't you think this little like class warfare is getting a little old? And then later on in the episode says to Serena, this is your world. He literally is like furthering the divide with the class warfare that he was bringing up to Chuck. Like, get off your high horse. Just because you're poor does not mean that you aren't bitter and a terrible person too. Like, that makes me so angry. Every single episode, it makes me so freaking mad.
And that's at the brunch where he just like pushes him.
Yeah.
And that's where we learn that Bart and Lily are starting to see each other.
Because Dan's lurking again.
Mm-hmm.
I will never.
Well, he's a writer. He needs to get the scoop.
I don't care. It makes me angry. Like, there's like, that's one of my favorite parts of the entire series because Lily puts him in his place so fast. She looks at him and she's like, can you stop lurking around? Like, yes, please stop lurking around. And he's like, I wasn't. I was just, and I brought this up to my sister recently because she loves Dan Humphrey and I cannot stand him. And I'm working on my essay about it. I've not made much of a dent, but I'm working on it. And
essay for no class, just an essay for funsies.
Yeah, no, this is just me getting angry at Dan Humphrey and needing to get out all of my feelings, which is also what this podcast is about to become. But
just a giant op-ed.
Yes, I literally was like, how can you how do you not understand? This man is a stalker. He is a creep. He is constantly just trying to infiltrate their world to make things worse for them, to make a few bucks. Like, it's so messed up. and he literally becomes one of them in the process and doesn't ever admit to that. And then like I was like,
No,
and the
because he
whole
still wants to
thing.
assume he's better than everyone.
Exactly. And like what makes me so angry is when Lily says that, I pointed that out to my sister. I was like, because that's exactly what he does. He lurks around and he tries to infiltrate everyone's life, even though he has no place in it. And she's like, he wasn't lurking, he accidentally stepped outside. I was like, yeah, he did accidentally step outside, but he didn't immediately go back in. He sat there and waited and listened to their conversation. That's gross. Like that's so
Mm-hmm.
unnecessary. Get mind your own business.
I
You've
don't
lived in
think
New
you
York
wouldn't
your
do the
whole
same
life.
thing.
Please, okay, if I had lived in New York my whole life, I would look around and be like, oh, okay, cool. No, she's not out here. Let me go back inside. I wouldn't sit there and listen to these two rich ass people's conversation. They could have me killed. Like, Bart Bass could literally have me murdered. I would not risk that.
That's true. Something I did like about the brunch, though, is they had the statue people, the living statues.
Oh, I
Have you
love
ever,
that part.
have you ever like seen one of those in real life?
I haven't, no, but I've always wanted to.
I was at a post performance reception,
Mm.
and they brought in a living statue because it kind of like went
Ooh.
with the theme of the show.
What was the show?
It was, oh goodness, Eichmann's Pygmalion. It was a ballet.
Oh, okay.
So it was Eichmann, um, their production of Pygmalion. And I went to the post show reception, and they had a statue. It was really interesting because we were taking pictures with her, and she would like move to like do our poses with us, but like so
Yeah,
slowly. And it was truly like a wild experience. It was so fun though.
I love that. I've
Yeah, it
always
was real
thought
cool.
that like I feel like that's something that they should have at like the Tony's after party at the plaza. I don't know why. It just like every time I see pictures of like the Tony's after party, that's what I feel like they need. Or like something like or like silks or like something with like live something or another. Because I'm like it's A, it's the Tony's, B, it's the plaza. C, it's just like every time I see a photo of it, I'm like, this is the vibe. Like this is the event that you would have something like that at. And they never do. It makes me from what I know, they never do. So
While watching this episode, I realized that I was mixing up the plaza and the palace.
were
I
you
was
really?
like, mm-hmm. I was like, where is the? Because in that scene where they're outdoors, I was like, that doesn't look like.
You know, the plaza is very distinct. Like you like know the plaza.
No, I was like, that doesn't look like the. And I was like, why is there like a church behind them? Because it looked like it was very like stone. Like, where? I
Yeah.
was like, where is this? And then I was like, oh, I'm thinking of the plaza. This is
Yeah.
the palace. So corrected myself there.
Love that for you.
I had
What
one more
else do I have
note. What was
written
my last
down?
note?
I had a couple
Oh,
other
I
things.
said I put this episode again was just a lot of exposition and tiny bit of action and then done.
Well, yeah, it's episode 2 of 6 seasons of a show. There's a
But
lot
I
of
feel like
stuff
in
to
the later
cram.
I feel like in the later episodes it changes. Like it becomes more um there's not as much exposition. But yeah, I guess it's only episode 2, so
Yeah. I also had written down, did Chuck have a threesome with Nate sleeping on the couch?
yep, that's exactly what he did.
I like never really thought about it. I was just kind of like, oh, okay. And then like I was rewatching it and I was like, out of all the times I've watched this, I've never really like thought about it. Like I've never really like sat down and been
They're
like, oh,
and they're
like
maids?
something like that. Yeah, like housekeeping or something. One of the
That
girls
would be
though, one of the girls that was in bed, she was actually in. I want to say I can't remember if it was Emma approved or the Lizzie Bennett Diaries, the like Pride and Prejudice and Emma inspired like vlogs or whatever, like the web
Lizzie
series
Bennett
from
Diaries
those.
was Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah, and then Emma approved as Emma, but like those are like my favorite things to watch on the planet. But she was in, I think she was in both of them actually. I think she started in Lizzie
I
Bennett
watched the
Diaries and
Lizzie
then
Bennett Diaries once, and then I never went back.
it's such a good rewatch. Like it's so fun to rewatch. I highly suggest it.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I
Should
highly
rewatch
suggest
it.
Emma Approved. I'm a big fan of Emma Approved. That was but Emma's like my favorite Jane Austen novel. So, but yeah, they're both really good to rewatch. Anyways, I also had, what else did I have written down? Oh, I have in quotes Williamsburg because I'm poor, but I live in Williamsburg. Sure, babe, that's cute, Dan. And then I live in a loft in
Also,
Williamsburg, but
is
I'm
that
poor.
loft even in? Is that loft even in Williamsburg? Because
I
they
think
show
it's in
like the
Dumbo. They show
bridge.
Dumbo.
That's what I was gonna say. I think it's Dumbo.
But they say Williamsburg a lot in the show. Like I do know that. Like they reference Williamsburg a lot. I'm like, okay, well
They're
that
just
would make
hoping
sense.
that
It makes sense that they live
the
in
audience
Williamsburg.
isn't paying attention.
Right. Like it makes sense that they live in Williamsburg because Rufus is an artist. Dan is like, you know, like the whole vibe of their family. Williamsburg just makes sense because it's like,
yeah, and Jenny's a fashion designer.
Right. Like it's super gentrified, super full of white people. So like it just makes sense. But yeah, no, they always show, I mean, Dumbo would make sense too, honestly. It's just Williamsburg is more of like the artistic crowd, I guess. But either one would make sense. I would put them in Dumbo or Williamsburg. But Dumbo's more expensive though, I will say that. So like I don't know. Like I think they're just showing Dumbo to show that they're in Brooklyn because if you show Williamsburg, it's kind of like, oh, is this the village? Like it kind of could be other parts of Manhattan too. So I don't know. But another thing
They have to show a bridge to make it seem like they're not in Manhattan.
Yeah. And then I also had written down Dan is always resorting to violence for some reason.
Yeah.
Like
again, testosterone driven.
Punching Chuck in the face in the first episode, valid. Completely valid. He was sexually assaulting your like little sister. But pushing him in the middle of his dad's brunch, maybe not a good idea. Like that was very unwarranted. Like, yeah, he was poking at him. Yeah, he was like instigating it. But at the same time, Dan didn't need to resort to pushing him down on the floor. Like that was unnecessary.
Is this our first time seeing Bart?
Mm-hmm.
Or is he in the first episode?
If he was in the first episode, it's for 5 seconds because like I think that this was our first like real introduction to Bart. I don't think he was in the
and that's when we realized like, oh, the pressures that Chuck has as a person, where he's not really like loved by his dad. Yeah, like an absent father, just kind of like had to raise himself.
But we haven't even found out yet that like his mom died in childbirth, like all that stuff. So there's even more trauma that they just like packed.
At this point, we still think his mom is alive, considering in the first episode we hear mom's Paxil.
Your mother's dead, Chuck, but go off. I'm sorry, that was really rude. I'm trying to think. I don't think I had any other like notes, but because this episode was just kind of like boring, just like the first episode.
It was just like, hey, let's look at pretty people doing privileged things.
I'm fine with that. But that's just me. That's why I love Gossip Girl. I can't remember if it's the next episode or the 4th episode. One moment. I'm gonna figure this out really quick.
I was listening to our podcast on my walk today, and in the last episode you said that the first thing you wanted to talk about was the recasting of Blair's mom. We don't see Eleanor in this.
Forget about that.
But Eleanor's not even in this episode.
Eleanor doesn't come in until the next episode, I'm pretty sure. So we'll bring it up.
We'll talk about that when we get there.
But the recasting of Eleanor is like the best part of Gossip Girl. But that's just
truly, Eleanor and Cyrus are the best characters.
So okay, the next episode has one of my favorite scenes in the whole show.
Ivy?
This is it's a very not necessarily underrated because when I bring it up to people, they all love it too. But it's like it's not as talked about as I think it should be. It's the very last scene I think in the episode, and it's like Serena and Blair talking at Bethesda Terrace in Central Park, and
that's a great scene.
That's one of my.
We'll talk about it when we get there. We'll talk about it next episode.
It's so lush. I love that scene.
But we'll talk about that next episode.
Because I could talk about it for hours. Like, I love it so much. I'm trying to think if there's anything else in this episode that I missed.
I don't know.
The captain, he pisses me off every episode.
Is the captain even in this episode?
He was at the brunch. He was talking to Blair.
Missed it.
I don't remember what he said to her, but he said it, and I was just like, "Shut up!" I was like, "You're so annoying."
The captain's the worst, and he just
He
keeps
is.
getting worse.
He literally like I mean, I don't have like an inherent like hatred for him because he's not really that relevant. Like he is when it comes to Nate, and like Nate is like one of my favorite characters, but it's just like he's so irrelevant for the like main plot of the show. He's not really important. So like I don't really think about him much, but like every time I see him, I'm just like, please get off my screen. Like you make me so mad. I cannot stand him. And I just like hate what he does to Nate. Like I just hate everything about it just makes me angry. But we'll get to that when that episode comes because it's kind of soon. Such a good episode.
Mm-hmm.
I love a Nate episode. Like, I love a Nate centered anything.
The show is really starting to it's trying to find its stride.
Yeah.
Like these first 2 episodes are a lot of here are all of the people in this world. It's a lot of world building, but we haven't really gotten
the next
to
episode I think is one of my
yet.
favorites of season 1 because it's just like there's a lot in it. Like there's a lot that happens in the next episode. So I really love episode 3. But my favorite season is still a few seasons away from our rewatch. So.
What's your favorite season?
3 and 4 are my favorites.
I don't have a favorite season because I don't know what happens per each season because I watched it all in one giant binge.
Oh.
Though I will say, I was watching episodes of New Girl the other day, and I was watching the final season, and it wasn't as unbearable as I remember.
So I didn't actually watch New Girl until August, September. I watched it like all the way through August, September. I've now seen it like 2 or 3 times all the way through because it's just like easy to watch. Like it's just easy to have on. And I didn't think I would like it. I'm not a big Zooey Deschanel fan.
I don't mind Zooey Deschanel, but I just feel like the character of Jess is I just don't like the character of Jess. Like, and so
Zooey Deschanel's personality is Jess. So like I'm just not I don't hate her. I used to like absolutely could not stand Zooey Deschanel, but like I've grown to like her a little bit more. But
this theory where
Schmidt, so
I had this theory where the show would have been better if it were focused on the 3 guys and Jess, the new girl, was just kind of like a side character.
Yes, instead of it being the other way.
So if it were, instead of it being the opposite.
Yeah.
Because that way it's like, oh, like there's this new girl in the house, and if it were focused on the guys, I think it would have been a completely different show, but also so much more funny and a little more bearable.
My friend, she sent me a TikTok, and she was like, "There's this TikTok I want you to like respond to me to it." And so it was like, text your friends and ask like what your type is. And so I responded to her. I was like, yours is just Jason Segel moving forward. Like what? I was like, okay, then what's my type? And so she was like, okay, I'll get back to you. And I was like, okay. Because my type is so diverse. Like I just like what I like. Like it's not, I'm a white man's whore, but at the same time, I'm so like, it's so much deeper than that. Also, like I like what I like and I don't really stray from it, but there's not really one specific type. And then she texted me an hour later and she goes, okay, so I made a list and then I realized it was just Schmidt from New Girl. And I told my dad and he just looked at me for a second then and he goes, she's not wrong. I was like, no, she's not. Because Schmidt is like my dream man. Like he's like my perfect human being.
My type is just funny. Yeah. But I like funny, like bigger guys, like a Jason Segel, like a Seth Rogen, like that like kind of like body build, essentially, yeah. But at the same time, I like men who aren't afraid to be feminine at times. Yeah. So like it's like both Gilmore guys, like both Kevin T. Porter and Demi Adejuyigbe, I'm very much attracted to. But I'm also like, give me Jason Segel and give me Seth Rogen. I actually saw Jason Segel once.
Did you?
He was promoting something. This
Was it the
was
Muppets?
no. This was in 2000.
Every time
This was
I
in
think of
2000.
Jason Segel, I'm like, his best work, the Muppets.
This was in like 2015.
Mm.
I want to say like April of 2015. Um, yeah, it was. He was promoting something at the LA Times
I'm looking
Festival
up
of
what he was doing in
Books.
2015. 1 second.
He was talking about portraying some author, but he may have also had a book come out. I don't remember. I don't remember why
He
he was at the LA
did,
Times Festival of
around
Books.
that era, he did the movie The End of the Tour, which is about, he played David Foster Wallace, who was a novelist. So,
Yep,
yeah.
that was it. Did he write a book? Did he have a book come out? Or was he just talking about playing an author? I don't remember
He's
why
probably
he
just
was
talking about
there.
playing an author. I don't think he has a book.
Interesting. At that same festival of books, I saw the love of my life, Ben Schwartz. God, Ben Schwartz and Thomas
He's
Middleditch are truly
great.
add them to my list. I'm
I
obsessed
love
with both
Ben
of them.
Schwartz. Do you want me to read you my list of like men that I'm obsessed with that Evan hates, my roommate?
Yeah, hold on, let me finish saying this though. So it was
Okay.
Ben Schwartz and Thomas Middleditch were both there. I
Yes.
don't know if I have a picture with both of them. I definitely have a picture with Ben Schwartz. Truly love of my life.
I love Ben
Um,
Schwartz. Every
and it
time I do a
was
BuzzFeed quiz for Parks and Rec, I always get John Ralphio.
it was them and like Kate McCucci from Garfunkel and Oates, and they were doing like a reading of the movie Swingers, and I've never seen the movie Swingers, but they were just
Yeah.
doing a reading of it, and truly seeing the two of them like work was just my favorite thing. And then when I was in San Francisco last year, oh my god, I think about the fact that I went on 2 vacations in January of last year, and I'm like, thank God I did that. But I saw Middleditch and Schwartz, and I was like, oh,
Love
these two
that.
men hold my heart. I love them both so
So,
much.
so last year, around, or I guess it was, I don't know, it's probably this past August, but it feels like it was like 1,000 years ago. My roommate Evan and I made a list. She mostly did it. There's more men that I'm obsessed with that aren't on this list, but we just didn't have them written down. So there's
Mm-hmm.
a list of men that make Evan hate Jill, and the Google Doc is called Jill's White Man's Horror Comprehensive List. That's what the Google Doc is called. So number one is Harrison Ford. Always and forever my number one human being. I love him more than anything. I'm pretty sure all of these are white people. Pretty sure. Aaron Tveit, Noah Centineo, because I'm a firm believer there is nothing wrong with Noah Centineo. It's just his movies are bad. Like, I don't think that he's ever done anything wrong. I don't think he's ever said anything. He said some stupid shit, but like, he's a
He's
young
been
person.
he's been a young adult boy in a
Right.
young adult man in Hollywood. Like he got a large amount of fame real quick
Right. He's going to
and
say
it
some
went to his
things that
head.
aren't entirely all there, but he never said anything. I don't think he's ever said anything like offensive or rude to anybody. So like,
I don't know.
I think he's cute. I think he's a good actor given the circumstances of his like filmography, but that's just me. Jack
Look, we
Davenport.
love To All the Boys I've Loved Before.
Oh, we loved All the Boys Above Before. Are you kidding me?
Can't wait for
Jack
that
Davenport,
third movie to come
which
out.
if anyone knows anything about Jack Davenport, he is a rare gem in the British actors world. Not a lot of people discuss him. I think more people should. I first
Jack
fell in love with
Davenport,
him.
aka the director whose name I'm forgetting from Smash, and
So
that one guy from Pirates of the Caribbean.
I was about to say that. So the first time I fell in love with Jack Davenport was the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie. He was a terrible person in that movie, but I was like, that's the man for me because I love a villain. I love a bad person. I just think that they're like, not necessarily that that's like what I'm attracted to, even though I am, but it's like there's something about like flawed human beings that I just find really interesting in like film and television. I mean, a lot of people do. That's why we like glorify serial killers, white serial killers, in a lot of documentaries and everything. So I think it's just like humans are inherently like interested in other flawed human beings because it makes us seem less bad than like compared to other people. Um, and then obviously in Smash, I love him in Smash. Billy Magnuson, because every time I watch Into the Woods, I skip through just to his and Chris Pine's scenes. Johnny Cash, because I grew up in Kentucky and my dad was obsessed with Johnny Cash, so like I learned to love him as a child, and I think that he's actually really attractive.
Is Johnny Cash
Um,
from Kentucky, or is he just like
no,
South
it's just
country?
like country music,
South
like
country.
yeah. But my dad was actually his security guard once, I think in Nashville, and that's like the
Oh
highlight of
my
my dad's life.
god.
The highlight of my dad's life was like being Johnny Cash's security guard.
Go Mr. Hayes.
Right? And then Keith Urban. I don't like country music, but I love Keith Urban. I don't know why. I think it's because his music
Speaking of not liking country music,
what?
I'm sorry, continue that and then I'll finish.
His music isn't really that country to me. It's more poppy than anything. So like I don't know, I've just always been really into Keith Urban, and then like growing up I was just like, oh, he's married to Nicole Kidman. Good for him. And so like now I'm just like obsessed with both of them.
The idea of Nicole Kidman playing Lucille Ball is insane to me. But
I'm excited
speaking
about
of not
it.
liking, I'm terrified for that accent.
Valid.
Speaking of not liking country music, I made a TikTok yesterday about my like controversial Taylor Swift opinion.
I saw that, yeah.
And I said something about how like 1989 isn't my favorite album. And someone in the comments goes, well, if you just say you like country music, and I'm like, the thing is, I don't like country music. I just don't think 1989 is a good album.
I think it's kind of like, it's like that's the one all of my friends that love Taylor Swift, because like I don't really
They love it, and I'm like, I don't.
See, all my friends don't like 1989 as much. Like I have one of my best friends, she loves Taylor Swift. She doesn't like Red as much, but she's also like 1989 isn't my favorite either. Like she's like,
I love Red.
Well, she saw
Red has
the
a
Red
bunch
tour.
of bops. So did
She saw
I.
the Red
I
tour,
saw
but
Speak
she
Now
was
tour in
like,
Red.
there was something, I don't know what it is about Red. I don't know. I can't remember what she said it was, but she was like 1989.
I saw the
like
Speak Now
her least favorite, I think.
I saw Speak Now, Red, and Reputation, and I was supposed to see Loverfest West, and then COVID hit, and technically I still have tickets. Technically I still have tickets, but who knows if or when it's ever going to get rescheduled.
And then on my list I have John Travolta, because I know he's a Scientologist, but I firmly believe that that man has been manipulated the entire time. I don't think that he genuinely has ever done anything like malicious. I think that he is a good human being. I love John Travolta. I have loved him since I was 4 years old. I adore that man so much. Grease was like a huge part of my childhood. So like John Travolta was like everything to me growing up. So I just love John Travolta. Joe Mazzello, because
oh my god.
King. I love Joe Mazzello. Tam Mutu. He's not necessarily white, but he's like half white. But I love Tam Mutu.
What's his other half?
He's Turkish and white.
Okay.
Ow.
I'm not gonna ask my question.
Oh.
I don't know geography. I'm assuming Turkey is Middle Eastern.
I'm pretty sure it is, yeah. Frank Abagnale Jr. Yes, he's a criminal. Okay. He's a criminal in the same way Martha Stewart's a criminal, okay? Like, let's relax.
No, but like, that man.
He's a genius. He's a freaking genius. Are you kidding me? Like, I have loved him my
Looks wise, you like him?
I mean, when he was younger, yeah. Also, you know I love older men. Let's calm down. Let's relax a little bit. Also,
when I think Frank Abagnale Jr., my brain gives me Bernie Madoff.
Don't say that. Why would you say that to me? I hate you so much. Oh no. But like
oh, they look exactly the same.
Stop it! Now that you've said it, you're right, but I don't like hearing it. Oh my god. Oh no. Anyways, and then I have Liam Hemsworth, because I went through a Hunger Games phase, really hardcore. I love Liam Hemsworth. We'll always love him. He's so stinking cute. Matt Damon, because I was raised by a man who worships the ground Matt Damon walks on. My dad loves Matt Damon. He's like, he always says, I don't love him that much. And then like any Matt Damon movie's on and he's like, oh yeah, I think this was a good one. I think we should turn this on. I'm like, okay, Bill. Okay. And then John Hamm, because
come
on. My god. Jason Statham, because I grew up watching a lot of action movies, so I love Expendables, and Jason Statham is like the hottest man on the planet to me. Bruce Willis, because hello, Bruce freaking Willis.
That man went into a pharmacy without a mask on.
What? Well, now I'm just disappointed because I love him. I'm so sad now.
I think like recently too.
Dang it, Bruce Willis, come on. Ewan McGregor.
Bruce Willis, page 6, one day ago, Bruce Willis asked to leave store for refusing to wear a mask.
My whole life just flashed before my eyes. My life
Yahoo Entertainment. Bruce Willis calls no mask incident at Rite Aid, quote, an error in judgment.
Oh, Bruce. I trusted you. Damn it. Anyways, Ewan McGregor.
A pharmacy. He went into a Rite Aid.
Listen. Maybe he. Listen. Anyways, I'm not gonna justify it. Ewan McGregor, because Obi-Wan Kenobi, Christian, and Moulin Rouge. Come on, people. Fargo season 3. Get with the program. Ewan McGregor.
Never seen it. Also, never seen the prequels of I've never seen Fargo. Also, never seen the prequels
of Star Wars. Have you seen Big Fish? Because Big Fish is like
yes, I've seen Big Fish.
Good, that's my favorite Ewan McGregor.
I forgot that was him, but yeah, I've seen it.
He's like the main character.
I saw it like once. I saw it like once. I don't remember who's in that movie. The only person I remember that was in that movie is Miley Cyrus when she's like a child.
No, she's not.
Yes, she is. I swear to God, it's like her first acting role.
Look
it up.
I'm gonna look that up because
she's like 7 years old in it.
Are you sure?
I promise.
I've seen that movie.
She's in it. It's her first movie. It's like in a flashback scene, I think, when they're talking about the witch.
That was her. Oh my God. Okay.
I knew about that before I even saw the movie.
Anyways,
I think that's one of the reasons I watched the movie. I'm like, Miley Cyrus is in this? I'm gonna watch it. She's in a scene.
I love how I'm like, come on, Katie, but like, how many movies have I seen just because like Aaron Tveit was in them? My God. That movie has like everyone. That movie, I'm literally looking at IMDb. It has Ian McGregor, Albert Finney, Billy Crudup, Jessica Lange, Helena Bonham Carter, like so many people. Such a good movie. Mm-hmm. Anyways, I miss
the musical. Real good.
So good. I miss Albert Finney. Rest in peace. He was amazing. He was the best Daddy Warbucks in my opinion. Aside from Jamie Foxx, that's a whole nother conversation that I will have on our other podcast because I love Jamie Foxx so much.
One day on our other podcast, we need to have a conversation where we just break down the 3 different There's 3 Annie movies?
I think there's 4.
There's 4.
3 or 4. I can't remember.
There's Carol Burnett as Miss Hannigan Annie.
One, the best.
Then there's Audra McDonald as Grace Annie. And then there's Cameron Diaz as Miss Hannigan Annie and Jamie Foxx as.
Was Audra McDonald in the Disney one?
I think so.
Oh, okay. Well then, yeah, there's only 3. I don't know why I was thinking there was 4.
Was Kristen Chenoweth Lily St. Regis in that one? My brain says it was.
With the Disney one, I watched that once as a kid, and I said, "This is
never
garbage,"
seen it,
and I never watched it again. So I could not tell.
Never watched it.
The original one is the best one out of like the.
My brain just tells me that Kristen Chenoweth would have been a good Lily St. Regis.
But like out of the original, like Annie, like how Annie is like for the stage and everything, the original Annie movie is the best one. But I have such a love for the newest one. I just think it is so stinking cute, and I love Quvonjane Wallace. She's so good. Anyways, and then I also have Max Clayton, which, if anyone knows anything, I'm a whore for that man. I think he is the cutest thing on the entire planet, and I know he's gay, but I love him more than anything. And then I have Joe Carroll, Santino Fontana, because I love Santino, Gaston, just in general, Gaston. I don't like Beauty and the Beast, but I love Gaston. Hans, because I love a villain, if that was not evident. John Mulaney. How can you not love
Valid.
Mark Paul Gosselaar, because I grew up with Saved by the Bell. Saved by the Bell was my entire world.
I
So
told
like
you,
Mark
I
Paul
told
Gosselaar
you,
is just
I've told you that I mix up Mark Paul Gosselaar and James Van Der Beek, right?
yes, and
In
it
my head, they're
bothers
the
me
same person.
so much because I grew up with Saved by the Bell, and I also watched Dawson's Creek, and it bothers me that you get them mixed up because I'm like, how can you get
In my
two?
head, they're the same person.
I don't understand that, and I will not accept it, Katie. I don't like that.
Okay. You don't have to accept it. That's just the way my brain works.
But yeah, so that's
Just
my
like you can't
list.
tell me that Bernie Madoff and Frank Abagnale Jr. are not the same person.
They are not the same person. I will
They're
literally
both criminals.
in okay, but in very different ways.
Just like Bart Bass and Donald Trump.
Okay, but hold on a second. Hold on, because now I'm just annoyed.
How much more does your list have?
No, that was my whole list. I'm just looking. Hold on.
Okay.
Here's the thing, though.
I have a much shorter list.
I'm looking. I was just like, real quick, getting some information on Bernie Madoff, like a split like glance at his Wikipedia. Here's the difference. Frank Abagnale Jr. was 15 when he started, fraudulent checks and whatnot. And he was 15. He was running away from home because his parents were getting a divorce. Okay. He was sad. He was stressed. He was like, I just want to get the fuck out of here. I just want to be away from all this nonsense. And his parents didn't know where he was. It was this whole drama. And he only patched, listen, it could be so much worse. In the 60s, it was only $2 million, which now is a lot more. But at the same time, $2 million is nothing compared to other criminals out there. Come on. And also, he was a kid. He was a freaking kid, Katie. He made some mistakes. He never had any malicious intent behind it. He was doing it just because he was trying to figure out who he was. It's not his fault. His dad was a criminal, too.
Do you want my list?
Hold on a second. You cannot get me started on Frank Abagnale Jr. because it will literally, it is so bad. I love him so much.
You're about to start crying. Oh my god.
Please read your list.
So my list is a lot of comedians or people who have like insane talent. So it is let's just start off. We got Kevin T. Porter and Demi DeJuibe. What I would do.
Naturally.
And then it's like comedy duos too. Because it's also Ben Schwartz and Thomas Middleditch.
I just realized we forgot to put Chase Crawford on my other list, but Chase Crawford is like top of that list. Anyway,
you got it. And then we have Aaron Tveit.
Naturally.
And you know who I think is so gorgeous and so like oof, Norm Lewis. I love him. I love him so much.
Wrong though, because
I'm not wrong.
You're right.
When I first watched the Les Mis 20th anniversary,
admit to that. So
when I first watched the Les Mis 20th anniversary, oof, I was like, this man, he is gorgeous.
Yes. Okay.
And his voice, his voice.
Everyone that I know is like him in Phantom, and I'm like, have you seen him in Les Mis?
like I'm not a Les Mis. I'm not a Javert apologist. However, Norm Lewis could make me one.
Me being like, I'm not a Trump apologist, but Bart Bass.
Who else?
So many things I say about Gossip Girl out of context and make me sound like the worst person.
Who else is on my list? I think John Boyega is very pretty.
You're absolutely correct.
I think Jeremy Pope is gorgeous.
Jeremy Pope is the perfect human being. I'm convinced
he's so pretty.
He's amazing.
Yeah. So
Love
essentially,
him.
my whole thing is, if you can make me laugh, you got me.
If you can like give me like, here's my thing,
Or if
because
you have insane talent.
I'm not super attracted to like comedians. I
I am.
love like if you can
Nick
be
Kroll
such
and
a
John
good
Mulaney. Oof.
Nick Kroll. No, Nick Kroll.
Oof. Oh, Nick
I
Kroll.
don't like Nick Kroll. I
I do.
think he's. I don't like. He makes me uncomfy. I don't know.
There's something about
But at
him.
the same time,
I'm
I'm like,
like,
if John Mulaney can be good friends with him, I'm sure he's not like a bad person. Like that's like always my thing is I'm like, if John Mulaney's friends with him, I'm sure it's okay. But like he still makes me very uneasy. I don't know.
both
I
of
don't
those
know.
men are both married, so
Yeah. My thing is like if it's an actor, if you can put on such a good performance in something, Ryan Gosling should also be on that list. If you can put on such a good performance in like a movie or a TV show or something to the point where I get chills, I'm automatically in love with you. Like I am like you are the greatest human being that's ever walked this earth. For me with Ryan Gosling, it was Drive. Because have you seen Drive? So
no.
good. You would love it. I think you would really like it. It's so good. It's more action than anything else, but it's also very romantic. It's just it's such a good movie. But then there's like with Chase Crawford, I just anything he does, I'm just like this man. It's not like he's like that good of an actor where it gives me chills, but he's such a good actor and he's such a good person and he's so stinking cute. I just want to squish his face so bad. Like I just want to go up to him and be like, ugh, I want to squish him. I love his face. I love looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
I need to not drink before podcasts again.
Or always drink before podcasts.
Listen, I started drinking, and then we brought up Frank Abagnale Jr.
And
And
Bernie
that's when
Madoff.
you can't like if I start drinking and you start talking about like Catch Me If You Can or Frank Abagnale Jr., my life is over as we know it because like I cannot shut up about it ever.
We're adding Billy Crystal to my list.
No, no.
Monsters Inc. was instrumental to my life, and so was When Harry Met Sally.
Whoever played David in Lilo and Stitch, he ruined my life. Because I watched Lilo and Stitch every day as a child. That was like one of my favorite Disney movies. It still is one of my favorite Disney movies. So good. And like every time I watch it, I literally there are videos of me 2 years ago watching Lilo and Stitch in tears because David shows up doing anything. I'm just like, this man could save the world. Like, this man is the greatest person Disney has ever given us.
The respectful king.
Yes. Are you kidding me? I love him. Billy Crudup, he's another one on my list. I love Billy Crudup because if you've seen the morning show, you know exactly why. His character is
I
so
haven't.
I don't know what it is about him in that show. I was like watching it. I watched it the first. I've watched it 2 or 3 times now. But the first time I watched it, I was like, I don't know if I'm supposed to love his character or hate him, and I love that. Like that's like my favorite type of character. And then like I'm pretty sure he's a good person, but at the same time I was like, but the things that he says, it sounds manipulative, but I know that it's not. Like it's like the weirdest type of character, but I love him. But like Billy Crudup is such a good actor that like anything I watch him in, I'm just like genuinely baffled by how a human being can be so talented and so underrated at the same time. Like he's so good. Ugh. Now I need to go watch Big Fish. Like now I'm just thinking about him in Big Fish.
Okay. Do you want to wrap this up and go watch Big Fish?
I might wrap this up and go watch Catch Me If You Can because it's on Netflix now and I'm so excited about it. I was like, they took it off Showtime, which was how I was watching it before, and I used Evan's Showtime. And then they took it off on like Halloween and I was like dying inside because it's like, how am I supposed to I have it on DVD, full disclosure, but I was like, how am I supposed to watch Catch Me If You Can now? And then they added it to Netflix like a week ago and I was like, this is the greatest moment of my entire life. Like everything that I have ever done has led up to this very moment of being able to watch Catch Me If You Can whenever I want without buying it otherwise.
Okay. Then let's
You
wrap
just
this
make
up
our
and you can go
TikTok
do
while
that.
I was talking about that.
Yes, I did.
I just got the email. Anyways, So yeah, we went off from episode 2 of Gossip Girl so quickly. Um, so Katie, what's the new TikTok username?
I will tell you that right now. Our username is at the Ultimate Insiders on TikTok.
On Instagram, it is the same thing. We're still working on our cover art. I have my person that's making it is still working on it, but it's gonna be great. So
And if you want to follow me individually, hi, I'm Katie. You can follow me on TikTok at Katiefornia or on Instagram at Complete Katie.
and I'm at It's Jill Hayes on literally everything.
And we'll see you next week, or you'll hear from us next week. What a fun episode this has been. Maybe I'll add more to my list next week.
We need to stop drinking. So bad.
Or always be drinking.
That's my motto. I'm not an alcoholic,
ABD.
I promise. I'm not an alcoholic.
ABD, always be drinking.
Yes.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.